avoid tilt or rage. It's been quite the issue. Tried all sorts of tricks. This is a very important and not the easiest question that requires you to be pretty introspective and aware of how your brain really works. Not how you think it works, but how it really does. But my thought my theory that I have been mulling over is the idea that tilt usually comes from a lack of humility, a lack of being willing to accept that something that went wrong was your fault. Because a lot of the time, it's like we play the blame game, right? My teammates did that wrong. Like, I've got all these feeding teammates. Oh my god. And what I've found is that those sorts of that sort of self-talk, those things that you say in your head, even if you don't notice that you said them in your head because they're such a habit, but you said them anyway. When you start saying those things, you're taking responsibility away from yourself, from what happened, which will make it so that you are not criticizing yourself when you do mess something up. You're allowing yourself a free pass to do something that is ineffective, which will eventually lead to, you playing worse because you're just not taking responsibility for something that you did wrong. You're just expecting your teammates to carry you the whole way, basically. And so you will start making mistakes, and whereas in a more, sober, reflective mood, you will notice those mistakes and take measures to correct them. When you're angry, you don't. When you're angry, it's somebody else's fault. And so you never actually learn from anything. And it's that lack of learning that is the real problem, I think, with the anger. Obviously, it makes you off-putting to others. It makes you more likely to not get to play with that person a second time because they're like, I don't know, I don't enjoy playing with someone when they're like that. But the real, I think, disadvantage of it is just that you're not allowing yourself to learn. And that's because you're not doing the psychologically uncomfortable thing of admitting that something that you did was the problem. How can you tell if a loss is your fault if you got the top stats? That comes down to your knowledge of the game. And, if you're not sure, it can be good to get somebody else's perspective. Like, hey, was there something I could have done better here? Or is this, on my team? VOD reviewing can help if you really trust your perspective in a VOD review. And I also do find that no matter how used you are to VOD reviewing, no matter how experienced you are at that, just slowing the video down and watching it without having to make decisions and being able to just look at the decisions being made always gives you a better perspective than you're going to have in the moment. Taking frequent breaks when I notice that I've been getting angry, because it doesn't help me to play better and I get more tilted. Yeah. Chara's advice, which I keep repeating because I think it's good, is if you lose more than 3 games in a row, if you lose 3 games in a row, you immediately, just unconditionally take a break, regardless of how you think you feel, and take 10 minutes off. And then after those 10 minutes, now that you've had time to cool off if you were potentially tilting, you now have a better perspective on whether you actually were tilting or not. Because a lot of the time, people get into that state of mind without realizing it. They don't know their tells. They're not aware yet that, when I start talking in that tone of voice to myself, when I start thinking that about my teammates, it has already happened and I missed it. So that can be a good kind of catch-all way to spot, okay, is this really just that I had 3 tough games? Or is it that I'm in a very bad mood right now and I'm not allowing myself to be aware of it? Major issues with anxiety and tilts in other games. I've started talking to a therapist. Got cognitive behavioral therapy related to that. Would encourage others to do so if it's a serious problem. Yeah, there you go. I do believe personally, as someone who has studied psychology to an extent, in cognitive behavioral therapy. I think it's a very positive thing for a lot of people to go through. It just gives you a better mindfulness of your mental states, you know? It's the kind of thing that will actually help you learn when you are tilting and to be more honest with yourself about how you actually feel about things. Asking how to know what to look for when I watch my own replays, because everyone says to watch them. Oh, yeah, that is a good question. So, one really, really useful thing, especially for more aggressive weapons, but really any weapon in general, is look at when you get splatted and then back up 10 seconds and think, what did I just do that led to me being splatted? And as long as you come up with good answers to that question that aren't just teammate blaming, that aren't, you know, based on an imperfect understanding of the game, you should be in pretty good shape for like starting to learn about and correct those issues. Another really good thing to think about is you play the replay for a bit, and then you pause and close your eyes and think, right now, at this moment, do I know where my teammates are? Do I know what numbers advantage we have? Do I know, you know, where the enemy players are that I need to worry about? Like, test your awareness, quiz yourself. Because a lot of the time what'll happen is, like, you'll get into a position, you'll stop, and you'll be like, I don't even know if I should be walking forward or backward right now, because I don't know how many players are up and down. Replays really give me perspective. Usually I'm out in the open without knowing, so I really need to work on awareness in that way. Yeah, there you go. That was something that I've struggled with too. Like, I'll catch myself being like, wait a minute, I have no cover right now. There's nothing stopping anyone from seeing where I'm at. Like, it's... You learn eventually to kind of... Oh, something else that's actually huge is when you get splatted, now you have the ability with your replay codes to go and look at your opponent's perspective. So, like, something that really taught me about how I was taking too obvious of positions was when I was looking at somebody else's perspective on a tournament stream where it was showing somebody who splatted me. And I was like, wait, that's what I look like? I shoot players who move like that all the time. That was way too obvious, you know? So seeing it from their perspective can really make it click, like, oh, wait, I know why this is bad, because I've shot people for doing this before. So that's something that really helped me that I can recommend. No, I rarely know what the numbers advantage is or where my teammates are, especially when not backlining. Yeah, backlining, it gets a little bit easier. And backliners, that's why backliners get just a little bit more annoyed about that thing sometimes, where, like, because, like, they haven't been up on the front lines and realized, like, okay, like, if I'm a backliner and these three fellas right here are my teammates, I'm going to be standing back here. I'm going to see them. I'm going to be like, wow, I could easily tell that was a dumb idea. But they are right here. They cannot see anything from this camera angle about what their teammates are doing. So, like, if all three of these teammates were to back up away from me right now, I would have no knowledge of that until I, like, opened my map, which is not this. That's the X menu. But so that's something that I think, like, backliners struggle with until they've had to play frontline a little bit. But it's also something that comes a little bit more intuitively to them because they're able to observe passively without having to be making those decisions at the same time.